You're listening to The Front Porch Show. Some shows are niche shows, talking about specific topics. Others, shows about nothing. This show is the show about everything. On The Front Porch Show, we'll talk about current events, some news, a little bit of politics, along with a whole lot of life. Welcome to our Front Porch. 1-402-799-1811. 1811? What is it? Is it 1811?
1811 sounds right.
1811 is our message line number. You can check us out on the web at www.thefrontporchshow.com. I am here with Tombstone and Ozzy today. Jeff he claims he's working, but then he's like, I'm going on vacation tomorrow. So I don't know if he's actually working or not. Doesn't matter. Have a great vacation, man.
Is Jeff done with us? Is he gone to his happy forever home? Where
Jeff was on last week when you were gone.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I mean,
but he has been hit or miss.
That's what happens when you are the man in charge of the rods of God. I mean, let's be honest about it.
And the chemtrails.
That's right. That's right. The little switch.
Very heavy responsibility there.
There's a huge responsibility. You never know what you're going to start this show with, and Tombstone just like 2 seconds before we start the show, literally a second before I hit the intro, screams, "By the way, I've never shaved my legs." And So I thought you were going to with your biking career, Tombstone.
I was. I just keep forgetting to do it. And I ended up not doing my race, which I'm still sad about. But we don't have to get into that.
But that happens. Family obligations came up, so I understand that.
But you know who does shave his legs?
Who?
Jeff?
Lance Armstrong.
He does. Are you comparing yourself to Lance?
No.
I mean, Lance.
He hasn't shaved his legs yet.
The only comparison you can make between me and Lance is that if we ran out of food, I would last longer than he does, because I'm a lot fluffier.
That's true. That's true. Lance. I knew this story would spark your interest.
I tied this in perfectly, didn't I?
You did.
So I think this is a terrible thing to start out with, but since we're here.
It really is. But
Lance Armstrong attempted to burn Mike Pence. Apparently, since everybody knows each other in the Northeast, he passed Mike Pence on a biking path in Nantucket this week. And he was very proud of himself.
He was.
He said, "I can't drop many people on a bike these days, but I just blew the bleeping doors off Mike Pence on a Nantucket bike path." But then somebody else said, "Mike Pence has as many Tour de France titles as you do."
That's funny.
Which is just...
That's so savage. I mean, look, if I'm a professional at something, I normally don't compare myself to like an elderly person trying to do it either.
No.
It just doesn't make any sense.
So you guys may not know this, but Lance's teammate for whatever time period he was working on the Tour de France stuff was George Hincapie. George Hincapie has set up residence. Huh?
Who is that?
He was his
bicyclist?
He's like his right-hand man. Yeah, they were on the team together.
Okay.
So they were training partners.
Right.
So anyways, George Hincapie has set up shop in Greenville where he owns a biking clothing business and accessories and training. I think he does like professional training here as well.
So is this the bike shop you go to?
No, I don't even know where it is. I go to a hole in the wall bike shop.
You probably have to have like a $10,000 minimum on a bike to be able to go there.
Probably. Like I think I told you guys this last year when I did my triathlon, the only triathlon I've done. But the average age there was between like 35 and 50. And probably the average dollar value on a bicycle was around $4,000 or $5,000. It might have been higher than that. It was pretty high.
That's ridiculous.
Because the sport attracts very professional people with lots of time and lots of disposable income, and they don't mind throwing cash at their hobbies, which more power to it, because it makes stuff like what I have very cheap. So
that was exactly how it was with that was exactly how it was with my 2 triathlons that I did. It was like you have your little $400 bike or whatever it is, and you're, you know, standing next to people who are like fully decked out and like, you know, and these aren't even people that are professionals at the sport.
Right.
You know, and they've dropped $20,000 on their equipment to do, you know, a sprint that's an hour long.
Yes.
So
that's ridiculous.
It's shocking how much disposable income they can throw at this stuff. And they probably shave their legs too.
Well, of course. And that's what separates the professionals from Tombstone. I mean, you know, got to shave your legs, Tombstone.
I comb my leg hair in such a way that it provides extra lift and aerodynamics while I'm riding.
I'm trying to visualize that, and I'm visualizing this like mohawk type thing on your legs now.
You gotta comb it. You do like a hard part down your shin.
Yeah, and comb it back.
Comb it to the sides.
What hair care product do you use to keep it stiff?
Usually just sweat and grease.
There you go. A little bit of chain grease there.
All right. Anyways.
Wow. We have come such a long way.
We'll have to compare notes sometime.
Yes.
Wow.
I never shaved my legs either.
It's never too late to start.
So
I think it is, guys. We have a ton to get to on the show today. The great debate of whether it's GIF or GIFs or GIFs. We've also got we have to talk about the Crown going after Meghan Markle. I'm starting to fall in love with Meghan Markle, to be honest with you guys. In a completely American, I love America type of way. I think she is single-handedly, her and Boris Johnson, well, dual-handedly, overturning the British Crown and returning it back to its rightful owners, the United States. After all, we did whoop them in the First World War. That being the Revolutionary War. Yes.
Right. Happy Treason Day.
Happy Treason Day. We also have to talk about Hong Kong, the revolution. That is widely not reported.
Really? Because I've been seeing it pop up everywhere.
It's been coming up a little bit more recently, but in the beginning days, it wasn't coming up at all. So we've got to talk about that. We also need to talk about facial recognition fails. I think we talked about that a couple weeks ago on the show, where facial recognition is notoriously getting is erroring out on African American faces. It turns out that California did a test, and 1 in 5 California politicians was tagged as a criminal. I'm actually surprised it wasn't 5 out of 5.
So what that's called is crossover error rate, and you've got if it's not acceptable, then it's basically useless. Like, it has to be really, really small.
Right. So yeah, it sounds like
the algorithms are confused,
not working very well. Also, we've got water from Dasani coming in aluminum cans now, no longer getting the beautiful plastic bottles.
I'm honestly surprised it took them that long to get around to doing that, and it makes a lot more sense to me.
Well, they've had paper boxes for a while now, which I think was patented by one company to where they're the only ones who can do paper boxes for water, which is ridiculous. Mike Tyson, he claims he burns down $40,000 of weed a month.
Is that a lot of weed?
Like he smokes it? Or he just burns it?
Oh, yes, smokes it. And we are going to make Greenland great again.
Yeah, that's the only reason I'm on the show today.
Oh, man.
Just to flex on Greenland.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So we're going to leave every other state in the Union alone, but we're going to go after the 51st state of Greenland, right? In the next segment. And
I mean, I'm good with that.
Oh, me too.
Let's do it.
I'm strangely okay with that today. And also, you can get a Saturn V rocket for free. Just pay shipping. All this and more when we get back on the Front Porch Show.
Did you see where Biden wants to take me to the back of the barn? Me. Some things in life you could really love doing. I don't wear a toupee. It's my hair.
I really am very smart.
I am a young, vibrant man. The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action. We will make America great again.
And apparently we are going to make Greenland great again as well.
Aaron, there's nothing in that intro about storming the ramparts at JFK during the Revolutionary War.
Not
or
yet.
ramming the ramparts.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yes.
There will be. There will be.
I can't wait. We should have like a huge stack of Trump intros. There's no excuse for this, Aaron.
I apologize for my lack of forthrightness and including.
Honestly, you could probably have a Trump intro for every conceivable situation.
More than likely.
There's almost an endless supply of Trump quotes for all topics and all times. He is a man for all seasons.
I suppose you could say that.
So speaking of seasons and places that don't have them, Greenland.
Greenland's a beautiful place, guys. I've never been there.
For those of you that didn't know, the reason that Greenland is Greenland and Iceland is Iceland is because some tricky Viking dude purposely misnamed them so that he could have Iceland all for himself. It's not that icy.
Supposedly.
It kind of is. Part of it's icy, but not as icy as Greenland, because you can actually grow things in Iceland, but you can't really grow things in Greenland.
I've heard that's wrong, though. I've heard that whole the way it was named was wrong.
It got at some point it did get misnamed.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but I don't know. Someone said
I've also heard that Greenland, because of the little not the little ice age, but whatever happened before the little ice age, the medieval warming period, Greenland was actually much more mild back then than it was later in the medieval times.
So under all the ice, they've actually found vineyards.
Yeah.
So interesting. Anyways, President Trump apparently has thrown out the idea of purchasing Greenland.
Okay, so I need to point something out. I have not actually seen where this originated from. Like, nobody has said that the president has seriously inquired about this, only that it's been thrown around at meetings. Like, I don't know if it's a joke or actually, if it's not a joke. I don't know if it matters.
I read that he actually had a couple of his aides looking into it.
Yeah.
Is what I read.
Yep.
So whatever that means.
It really comes down to what the Danes want to do.
It's very true. The Danes could decide they want to sell it.
I'm totally up for that. Let's do it.
Greenland is full of amazing resources. Now,
did you know that we've already bought territory from the Danes in the past?
Have we? What have we purchased from them?
The U.S. Virgin Islands used to belong to Denmark.
Really? I did not know that.
We bought it outright back in like 1910 something.
That's fascinating. Huh? I didn't know. I did not realize that.
So all that there's precedent.
Tombstone knew.
All I'm saying is, now I do want to make sure that the president knows that when you look at Greenland on a Mercator projection map, it's not actually that big.
What do you mean?
The Mercator projection map distorts things that are higher up on the map. Or
yes, that's correct.
So I'm not sure the president has ever looked at Greenland without a Mercator projection, so he knows exactly how big. Because if you look at it on a Mercator, it looks like it's really big, like bigger than the United States. So I'm just saying there's some shrinkage involved there.
Let's see how big we got here.
Thank you, Tombstone, for that gem. How much land area is Greenland?
It's still quite large. It's just not as large. It's like
it's about, I would say, probably about a quarter the size of the continental U.S.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Maybe a little bit bigger, maybe a third.
It is massive.
But most of it is like permanently under ice. So really, there's 80%. Only like a handful of fishing villages. It's not,
what's the population? The population was like 250,000, right?
Oh goodness, I don't even know. It's really, I would be shocked if it was that much.
But we have
to 50.
We have a military base up there.
Mm-hmm.
What is Thule Air Force Base? I don't know exactly where that's located. I'm trying to look here.
Okay, hang on. So we bought the U.S. Virgin Islands in 1917. For those of you keeping track at home. So Greenland. Like, I wonder what Google searches are showing for Greenland in the last 48 hours.
Oh, I'm sure it's incredible.
57,000 is what I'm getting for population.
Okay, so I was in the ballpark.
Wow.
Because I guess 50. So yeah, not a lot of people for such a big area, but
So yeah,
I mean, there are worse ideas.
We've got Thule Air Force Base up there, which is.
I mean, everybody thought buying Alaska was a crazy idea when we bought Alaska, but think about it. Whenever we get to where we need to invade Canada, we're going to need those bases in Greenland for staging.
Canada.
The Canadian. At some point, we're going to have to end the Canadian menace. Canada.
Such a huge threat.
This is why I think it's brilliant to buy Greenland, is because when global warming happens, like, you're not going to be able to live in the continental U.S. because it'll be way too hot.
So we'll just move
and
up
by
there.
that time, Greenland's going to start melting, so we'll have water from the ice and the vineyards underneath it. So I'm saying great idea.
Pre-planted vineyards from Viking days.
Right. Who knows what kind of diseases that are lurking in there.
Put water on them, and away we go.
I'm looking here at this base, and there is nothing there.
No, there's really not.
Cold War Memorial Park. It's a Cold War era base.
Yes. Well, we used to have to beam our radar over the Arctic, the North Pole, the Russians.
Well, I was going to say, I think we're still doing that, aren't we? I mean,
I would hope so.
To. Yeah. I mean,
since we're all buddy with the Russians now, I don't know.
Apparently, we've got a post office up there. It does not have great reviews. They're saying, you can. I quote, you can send postcards. That's great.
I mean, sounds
do
like
you guys use Google? I forget what it's called. The little drop the little man on the ground. You can look to it. Street View. Yeah. So there's quite a few places in Greenland where you can do Street View, and it looks basically like Norway.
Sorry, I'm still trying to find a city.
That's one thing I do as one of my hobbies. Is I'll scroll to remote places where there's almost no people, and I'll look for places to drop the little man and do Street View. It's quite fun.
Oh, I found a city. Oh no, there's just 2 houses there. I'm still working on trying to find a city. Oh, there's one. I found one. No, there's no cars. No cars in this city.
Can you pronounce it is the question.
Well, can a normal person or can I?
Anyone.
I can't.
Yes.
I can't. Tasiilaq Kajak Klub. No, that's not the name of the city. I think it's just Tasiilaq. And this is a little town off the coast of it's kind of like right across the coast from Iceland. There's Kalusk. Now I have heard of Kalusk before.
So I think the important thing to remember here is that Greenland does have some natural resources, and it's close to Canada.
It has
so if we have to take Canada's natural resources, we're ideally positioned for that eventuality.
So people go up there every year looking for gold and precious stones.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a big deal. There was a TV show back in the day all about that, where they were going up there.
I mean, I would go.
I'd go once. So, why not?
All right. So if we were going to write a letter to President Trump, I would definitely be in favor of this, for one.
Yeah, why not?
Provided we can get it. So, and it's on a serious note. So Greenland does get some kind of financial assistance from Denmark.
So that's the problem, right?
I would say if we bought Greenland, to be nice to them, we would need to give them whatever Denmark would give them for at least 50 years.
So Denmark is giving Greenland $500 million a year.
So we need to talk about how that, like, Trump was apparently not the only person that was interested in buying Greenland. There was like a couple other things. I want to say there was a president back in the early 1900s that was
Truman.
Right. And among also, I think the article I was reading said Russia has tried before, and also China, just because of how strategically placed it is.
See, this is what we need to do. We need to present Greenland with an existential dilemma and say, hey, if you don't come over to our side, eventually the Russians will gobble you up. And that would not be nearly as fun as having a McDonald's on every corner.
You get a gulag on every street.
Exactly.
Do you want to
gulag with you?
Do you want to be Russia East? I don't know. I don't think that'll be good. You mentioned before the segment, Ben, the meme that was going around with
Oh yeah, it's this great meme. So it's basically coastal Greenland, which I guess is about where anything and everything is located. Is about 2 miles of worth of coast,
because the rest of it is a glacier,
right? And so it was basically like Trump's idea, of buying Greenland, and there was just this giant Trump Tower in the middle of this small little town. It was epic. It's a giant gold tower. So I mean,
it could become a premier vacation spot. All they need is a cash infusion from the Russian mob.
Well, I mean, we might be able to get Elon Musk into it if we can move Space Force up there.
Yes.
Oh,
so
we have to talk about Musk.
Is there needs to be a Space Force base there.
Yes.
That could be why we want Greenland. We can build Space Force runways on the ice.
So, Aaron, go whenever you're ready. We can take us out. But I do want to hear your thoughts on Elon Musk because I also have thoughts.
Elon Musk is a beautiful train wreck that I can't get enough of. All right, we'll be right back. We're back for another segment of the Front Porch Show. It is an absolute honor to have with us today Jay Eldred, who wrote the book Stories in the End, Short Letters from a Long Life, with his friend Tom Poole. How's it going, Jay?
It's going great today. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. We're absolutely honored to have you on with us. I came across this book on your Facebook page. And
okay.
It was probably about a year ago you started talking about it on your Facebook page.
Yeah, I started about a year ago and then finally published this spring.
Awesome, because it was so cool because I remember seeing on your Facebook page you had talked about Mr. Tom, as you refer to him in the book, and it always struck me. What an awesome relationship you had with him, because here's a guy who served in World War II, really, different generation from all of us, totally different, oh yeah, totally different way he grew up, totally different way he relates to people, and here you are having just this amazing relationship with him, a great enough relationship to where he trusted you to write his story. Mm-hmm. Tell us about Mr. Tom. Tell us about how the relationship developed and all that.
Well, I guess with all good stories, I'll begin at the beginning. So, I met Mr. Tom through my now wife. We had started dating in college, and I went to visit her folks over Thanksgiving break. And at the time, her mom was helping Mr. Tom take care of his wife, who was struggling with late-stage dementia. And she introduced me to him. She knew I was a history major, so she said, this guy has seen history. You really should, just sit down and listen to what he has to say. So when we had breaks and I would visit, I would sit at his kitchen table, and sometimes he would talk and sometimes he wouldn't. But after college, we got married, moved here, and I just stayed friends with him. And we went over maybe once or twice a week, and I would just sit at the table, and if he felt like talking, I'd listen, ask questions, things like that, and just developed a friendship with him over the course of 11 years. Found out later that he told me things he didn't tell anybody else, and I didn't know it, but that's how I made his acquaintance. I guess the other thing is I've often been described as an old soul trapped in a young man's body. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So a lot of the things that he was interested in or that he could relate to from the time that he was in his 30s or 40s were things that I still had an interest in. So we could talk about, the big band era, and we could talk about the different historical events that he had seen firsthand, but I had an interest in from a historical perspective.
So these stories that you compiled in the book are truly his stories. They're not. I mean, you didn't embellish them. You didn't do anything. I mean, these are his stories.
They are his stories. a couple of people have asked me, you know, how much is him and how much is me, and that's hard to answer. The chapter about Pearl Harbor is entirely him. I went on in his papers, found several different interviews that he gave in the 50s and 60s and 80s about Pearl Harbor, and I kind of put them all into one unit. So those are all his words in that chapter. Everything else was me remembering what he had said, trying to remember the tone in which he said it, imagining, you know, the different things that he told us that might have led to that deeper conversation happening. You know, with older people, they don't generally jump into the deep end with their stories. You know, they start talking about the weather or about what they saw at their window. So I just tried to put the conversations back together and write them down as if you were writing a series of letters. So the way that I describe it is they're his stories and they're his words as I remember them.
Right. I think that was one of the coolest parts about reading what I've gotten through the book so far was the tone with which you use to share those stories. It's so, I don't want to say it's colloquial in a way, but it's very conversational, and it's like I can hear him coming through it, and I don't even know him.
Great.
And I think that was just one of the parts that really stuck out to me. I absolutely love these old stories, stories from the past, you know, from these generations that were so precious to us as a country. And we don't, a lot of these folks don't tell those stories.
No.
And that really affected me a lot, you know, going back here and reading these, it's blowing me away.
Yeah, in fact, there were even stories in here that I didn't know, that I only found out by piecing together things that he left in his papers. For instance, one thing that I remember, he kept all of his military records, and he just kept re-enlisting every 4 years. So there was a stack literally about 6 inches thick of just his re-enlistment forms and things like that. Well, I get to the last page, and it's listing his honors and everything that he's achieved, and most of it I'm familiar with. And then it lists his most important station as the USS Massachusetts. Well, I knew that he was on the Massachusetts, but he never talked about it. And so I'm like, why wasn't it the North Carolina from Pearl Harbor or the Meredith from D-Day? And so I had to go in and figure out, okay, when was he on the Meredith? When was he on the Massachusetts? What was it doing at those times? And come to find out, he was involved in liberating Casablanca in Operation Torch, and he never talked about it.
Wow!
But the reason was, and I talked to a few people, and I remember him telling me once they went into combat, and their commanding officer had them pray for the men they were about to attack, and he said, I never forgot that. But I'm fairly certain that is the event he was talking about. It affected him so deeply. His particular ship was credited with sinking or disabling five German warships there in the port.
Wow, that's incredible. You know, I had a grandfather served in submarine forces out in the Pacific during World War II, and then another who served over in Korea during the Korean conflict. And you know, as a family, we hardly know anything what they did. We hardly know, you know, their stories, and it's only through stories like these that you really get that connection to the past.
Right.
Tell me about Mr. Tom's life. You know, we've kind of flitted around and mentioned that. Who was he? What did he do? What was he known for? Tell me about him.
Okay. Well, I don't know that he would have claimed to be known for anything, but he had one of those lives that I've heard described as Forrest Gump-like. You know, mention a historical event and he might have something to do with it. You know, I don't want to give away everything that I write in the book, but he has run-ins with gangsters. He has some connections with some famous sports people. things like that.
Not known for anything, huh?
Well,
right. I understand what you're saying, but it's just
right.
what a beautiful life, though.
If you did a Google search on him, he's not going to come up, aside from now maybe this book.
Right.
But he was born in North Carolina in 1918. Born up in Goldsboro, moved down to the coast on where I live now in New Bern in summer of 1922. And that's actually one reason why he started telling me his stories, is that I asked him if he remembered anything from the Great Fire of New Bern of 1922. That was my senior history paper in college. And he couldn't tell me much. He said, I remember my dad taking me downtown, and we walked around all of the rubble, and everything smelled like burnt chicken. And it got into our clothes so much my mom couldn't get the smell out, so she had to throw them away.
Wow, what a memory.
So that's kind of what started all of this going on. So he grew up, he had the typical Southern boyhood of the early 1900s, turned 18 and joined the Navy to see the world, and boy did he.
When did he join the Navy, Jay?
He joined the Navy the day he turned 18. So
what year was that, 40?
No, that would have been 37 or 38. No, it would have been before that. Okay. Because he was born in 18, so 28, 34, 35.
Yeah.
And then he went through basic training, and in 38, he was stationed out at Pearl Harbor. And he was still there when it was attacked in 41.
Wow. That's incredible.
His particular assignment was engineer. And in fact, by the end of his service, he ended up as a chief engineer. So after Pearl Harbor, and there's a lot of story about that. Again, I don't want to give away too much of my book.
No problem.
But that's fine. He survived Pearl Harbor, came back home on survivor's leave, only to find out that most of the people in town thought he was dead. So when he showed up, it was quite a surprise.
Wow.
Married his childhood sweetheart 2 weeks later. Through a different series of assignments, ended up at North Africa on the Massachusetts. He was on the USS Meredith at D-Day, and that particular ship also was sunk out from under him by both a mine and a torpedo.
Oh man!
So he survived two ships being sunk out from under him, and he was at Tokyo when Japan surrendered. They'd been getting ready to invade, and he was part of that support operation. And then Japan surrendered, and he took the long way home. It took him almost a year to get back after the war officially ended.
Wow.
After the war, he did some recruitment for the Navy here in eastern North Carolina, was quite successful at that, retired in 1958, 1959, and then being an engineer, he got on at the city water plant as well as the water plant for Cherry Point Marine Corps Base down in Havelock, North Carolina. It's about a 30-minute drive today. So he had both of those jobs after the military, fully retired in the late 80s, early 90s, did all kinds of hunting and fishing and trapping. He's the kind of guy who, saw land, bought it, built the house with his own two hands, and almost 6 years later died in his own house.
Wow.
So, in a nutshell, that's his life.
That's incredible. Thank you for actually taking the time to write this down, because it warms my heart to know that someone actually cares that much about the past generations, to actually take the time to spend with them and to write all this stuff down. As I was reading this, I started regretting having not asked my grandparents more before they passed, because so many amazing stories that I'm sure could have been told have just disappeared because they didn't think it was worth it. They didn't think it was that interesting. But to the rest of us, looking at it now, I mean, it truly is impactful.
And I would love to know the stories he didn't tell us, because we know that there were things he never talked about. For example, I mentioned this in the epilogue, but there was one night we were there for pizza and some board games, and we had Hawaiian pizza with ham and pineapple, and he just mentioned the fact, it reminded him of Hawaii and his Hawaiian fiance.
Whoa!
And we looked at him. I know. And we said, what?
That's incredible.
What?
That's great.
And then he said, "Oh yeah, we all had them. We had luau's every weekend." And that was all he said. That matter was settled, and we could never get any more out of him.
That's incredible. Oh man.
So we know that there were more stories that he didn't tell, but the one reason why I chose the ones that are in this book is that these were the ones he told most often. And in the 11 years that I knew him, no detail ever changed. It was always the same story, the same event. Everything happened the same way. Even at the end of his life, like when he actually never lost control of his mental capabilities, but as most people get older, the story might change slightly, things like that, but they never varied. So that's what gave me confidence that these happened the way he told them.
Absolutely. Wow. I had somewhere I was going with that and forgot.
And then in the back, I do have what I've called a scrapbook, where there's certain images and papers and things like that I included that verify the veracity of some of these.
I noticed that. I thought that was incredible. As I was looking through these pictures, you see him, hunting pictures and I assume his wife here, pictures with his wife. I mean, just incredible.
And I wish that I could have included them in color, but one of my goals for writing this book, I did not write it to make a lot of money or anything like that. I did it for him and for his family and people that might want to have remembered him. And as part of that, I wanted to keep it as cheap as possible, so that's why they're in black and white. But if I could have included it in color, and he's fine with me saying this because he told me himself, his wife was a looker. She could have been a model or a movie star in the 20s and 30s, well, even beyond, if she'd wanted to. But she wanted to be his wife, so she was.
Awesome. I noticed in one of the scrapbooks here, I believe it's a bulletin from a Sunday service on the Tarawa on Saipan.
Yes.
Did he serve in Saipan? One of my grandfathers served at Saipan, and
I tried to find out how long he was in Saipan, and I could never nail down the dates. I know that was on what he called his long trip home after the war.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how long he was there or where he was stationed.
Okay. My grandfather was part of the submarine fleet, escorting the ships into Saipan as they were beginning the invasion there. So this would have been after.
Okay.
It, so, but interesting, just interesting to see Saipan pop up. You don't see Saipan pop up much.
No.
So is there a second book in the works? You obviously have more stories.
I have more recollections of little tidbits that he gave me. I don't know if I have enough to make a second book. What I might do is see if I can add a few more in and do more of a second edition. But I'm not sure about that. I'm fairly satisfied with the way that this one turned out.
As I said, it's I'm 45 pages in so far. I've scanned through the rest of it just to get a good idea of the life of Mr. Tom. It's fantastic. It's one of the best. It's one of the best biographical storybooks that I've read in a long time. And so I'm absolutely. It was a privilege to pick it up off Amazon. So if anyone's looking for it, it's Stories in the End: Short Letters from a Long Life. You can find it on Amazon. Is there anywhere else we can send the listeners to find it?
It's since I self-published through Amazon, that's really where it is.
Okay, so Amazon.com.
Yeah, and what we can do, Jeff, we'll get this stuck up on the site as a standalone, probably like we did with Robia Scott, and we'll include a link there.
Yeah,
as well.
Absolutely.
So you can share it out for those that may be interested.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. If anyone wants the book, go to Amazon.com. Stories in the End, short stories from a long life. You can look up. I found it by Amazoning, looking up J. Eldred. And it popped right up at the top of the search pages. Jay, is there anything else you want to add about the book before we head out?
If you read it, you personally or anyone listening, please leave a review on Amazon or Goodreads, because the more reviews that it gets, the more likely it is to pop up in someone else's feed.
Awesome. I will go there immediately when the show's done, and I will leave a review.
Thank you.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for joining us today, Jay. Again, Stories in the End by Tom Poole and Jay Eldred.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
The essence of the American character is to explore new horizons and to tame new frontiers. We must have American dominance in space. Very importantly, I'm hereby directing the Department of Defense and Pentagon to immediately begin the process necessary to establish a Space Force as the sixth branch of the armed forces.
Wait for it.
Yep. We're waiting. Here we go. Tombstone's dancing. Okay. You know the video.
I need that to be louder in my headphones.
You know the video.
I know it's mixed correctly for you, but I can't hear it that loud.
There was a video on YouTube with this big guy doing the exact same dance you were doing.
When that bass drops, I need it to drop.
I have to do a quick YouTube search right now. Hold on. I'll be back. YouTube is. I forget what it is. It was like Maya High. Do you remember that?
I know what you're talking about. It's not a big guy; it's a short guy.
He was a short guy, but in front of the webcam.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I've seen it.
It's glorious, man.
I have no idea what the song is called.
I don't remember either, but it was amazing.
It's a really old video. It's one of the early.
Oh yeah,
it's one of the early viral videos.
Yes.
Holy moly! I have not thought about that.
Flashbacks, guys.
Holy moly!
I think that was an old meme when we were in college.
Hold on, I might have got it.
Do you?
I think I found it. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't think we can play it.
Send the link. Send the link. I don't think we can play it on the air, but we can describe it on the air.
Oh my god!
Did you find it?
I did. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I did.
Ozzy for the win.
Apparently, I know how to spell Maya He.
That's him.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
Oh man.
When is this from? 2006. Holy crap.
Oh man. 13 years ago. Thank you, Internet. We go from talking about the beautiful stories about some guy's life to watching videos of.
Okay, so you were gonna tell me something about Elon Musk.
Oh yeah, okay. So I need to put this on my save.
This is why we have the Space Force intro. For those who be curious.
Hold on. I need to save this in my need to watch. Okay, I think we're good. Okay.
That's not
Elon
the one.
Musk.
That's not the one.
That is the one.
No, that's a different one.
That's the one I was referring to. If you have a better one,
I'm thinking of something different.
One?
You're right.
Because he does the dance.
I'm thinking of something else.
Oh yeah,
he does the dance.
Yeah, I'm watching it right now.
I'm watching it again too. Anyways,
I'm glad you all are amused.
It's so great, Tombstone. It's so great. So Elon Musk, I've had a fascinating relationship personally.
I was hoping you were going to say fascinating conversation.
Fascinating relationship. I shouldn't say relationship. I should say interpersonal communication with myself over Musk. I'm not exactly a huge fan of Musk. I think he's used a lot of government subsidies to do what he's done, like billions of dollars worth of government subsidies to do what he's done.
Yes.
I think he's a visionary. He's an amazing visionary. He sees things and he's like, I think we should do this. And he makes it happen. He makes it happen. It's really expensive. He smokes weed with Joe Rogan, and he also wants to nuke Mars.
What? Tell me about this nuking Mars business, because this is all new to me.
So, yes.
What?
So, Elon Musk tweets the other day. Of course, it happens on Twitter. Because every good news story starts on Twitter.
We've established this, yes.
He throws out there this tweet on Twitter that just says nuke Mars.
So we can make it more uninhabitable?
And then he says t-shirt soon. And then he says, hey babe, fancy a hot date? Wink. Trust me, it'll be, and he does emoji fires.
Lit.
Yeah.
It'll be lit.
It'll be lit, apparently.
I don't understand any of that.
So
you break it down for me.
Okay, so Elon Musk seems to think that if we launch nuclear devices over the north and south poles of
it'll
Mars,
melt the water.
It will melt the water, create a carbon dioxide rich environment, which will also encourage a climate closer to what we have here on Earth.
Here's the problem. Is it all just going to escape back into space?
Well, there's an atmosphere, so theoretically
Mars
not.
There's not. The thing is, Mars does not have an atmosphere, does it?
Yes, it does.
I believe it does.
It's a planet. You have to have an atmosphere to be a planet.
Nope, you don't.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, you do.
You're dead wrong.
Yes.
Lord have mercy, Oslin.
I'm Googling it right now.
Yes. The knives are coming out.
I mean, I might be wrong. Planetary ecology is not my thing.
Yeah, planets I'm 99% sure have to have an atmosphere. Otherwise, they're not a planet. They're just an asteroid.
I thought, for some reason, I was thinking Mars did not have a really good grip on its atmosphere, at least.
It may not have a good grip on it, but it's got one.
Yeah, but is it enough to be able to terraform it? How do you like that word?
Ooh.
Terraform.
Science.
Okay, apparently it's completely carbon dioxide. It's 95% carbon dioxide.
So the
no oxygen
is,
whatsoever. The oxygen is a problem.
The theory is that if they release the oxygen from the water, I guess,
because you got to have at least 30% oxygen to breathe it.
Yeah, I don't.
Sure.
Because isn't our atmosphere basically 30% oxygen and 70% nitrogen?
I believe it's somewhere in that vicinity. Yeah.
I think we should double check those numbers.
This is 7th grade physical science memories here, so they might be slightly off.
Which was 15 to 20 years ago.
It's only 20% oxygen.
Oh, okay, so 30 is rarefied oxygen.
Yeah,
so 30 is if what you give someone if they're having a really hard time breathing.
It's 78% nitrogen.
Okay.
And 0.04% carbon dioxide, 1% argon. That's interesting.
Argon's an inert noble gas, so it's kind of like nitrogen.
Yeah, it's just fascinating. I never would have thought about it that way. But yeah, so there we have it. So yeah, he suggested we nuke it because of science, and we'll make it better. We'll make it better for us.
So I guess the idea is if you hit it hard enough, then some of those molecules, some of those water molecules, will break off and form oxygen and hydrogen.
I guess theoretically, yeah.
So I think we should look at this and just say, okay, so what would happen if you took that exact same tweet and just made it from Trump instead? Because it does sound pretty crazy, except Musk has science behind it.
Hashtag
science, as opposed to the president who would just tweet that out and everybody would lose their minds.
I think we should do an experiment. Have them swap Twitter accounts for 2 weeks and see what's on fire at the end of the day.
We could do a new segment on the show. Who said it? Trump or Musk?
Dude, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's going down in the future. So I did some.
I could think of so many ways that could be awesome.
The United States is burning down now. It's on fire.
So that's beautiful, guys. So I watched the other day. I watched the Aviator. Do you guys remember that movie from?
I've never actually seen it.
I have never watched it either. To be honest
it's
with
like
you,
3 hours long.
Spruce Goose, right?
Story of Howard Hughes and the Spruce Goose. It basically, it's Leonardo DiCaprio.
DiCaprio, yeah.
Okay.
Which it's, as far as acting goes, it's a pretty good movie. The story's a little long. Anyways, it's interesting. Musk is Hughes. Maybe slightly less crazy.
I could see that, yeah.
Lots of money, lots of ideas, milking the government, not giving a rat's behind about what he does, and just doing stuff, doing incredible things. And there's things we're using today. Military's still using technology that Hughes created. I mean, wow. Hughes was an absolute genius, and he knew exactly what he was doing every step of the way. Just an amazing guy, risk taker. I mean, good grief, he built the Spruce Goose, which only flew once, by the way.
But it actually flew.
250,000 pounds.
Ridiculous.
No, 250,000 pounds. With a 100,000 pound capacity, so they could fit 2 tanks in there or 750 soldiers. The idea was to fly to leave the East Coast and land on the coast of Europe with 750 troops. And I mean, so
pretty wild.
The Spruce Goose is only smaller than I believe Virgin Galactic's airplane is the space plane. The one that they take up there, take up to space is bigger.
The really big
and
2 fuselage monstrosity.
And only one of the Antonovs. Boeing and everything else is smaller than the Spruce Goose.
Wow.
So, yeah,
that's saying a lot.
Yes.
Oh, man, those jets are giant.
Did it ever actually take off?
It did.
It did, yeah. It was over water, I believe.
So it's a boat. It's a
flying boat, right?
Flying boat.
Right,
there's no wheels. And so it took off
Saves weight.
in Long Beach, California. It was doing taxi tests, and if I may use the pun, Howard Hughes goosed it and gave it a little bit more fuel than needed, and took it off and flew for approximately a mile.
Wow!
In ground effect.
That kind of sounds like they should have seen that coming.
It was Howard Hughes, of course.
Right, exactly.
Of course. He had media in the back.
Was Howard Hughes the guy who was in the Rocketeer? Was he the guy who designed the rocket?
The Rocketeer.
Or at least based on, was it based on him?
That has to be. It has to be.
What do you
I think it was.
What do you mean?
It's got to be.
The Rocketeer, it was like a comic book movie that was set in the late 30s, early 40s, whereas the guy, some shady character stole this rocket outfit that was designed for the military, and I think it was supposed to be Howard Hughes. Yeah, something.
So this Rocketeer, 1991.
Yes.
Howard Hughes and the FBI, I guess,
right
in the movie, Howard Hughes and the FBI are pursuing this guy.
Right.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Because this random dude who liked to fly airplanes ended up with this rocket suit by accident, and he didn't want to give it back.
Okay, 1938, Los Angeles. 2 gangsters in Eddie Valentine's gang steal a rocket pack from Howard Hughes. So there you go.
I was in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
I have a frame of reference now.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot more sense now. That makes
funny.
a lot more sense. So I think he's,
So did it never fly again? Did it crash or what happened?
They parked it.
Yeah.
They parked it.
They just never.
Was it just too much? It wasn't.
They didn't need it.
I think
War
it was more
over.
of just a publicity stunt. Was more or less what happened to it. So
yeah, the government spent $16 million for it.
Bargain at the price,
and technically
cheaper than the F-22.
Yeah.
they probably started investing into Zeppelins. You know how well that went over.
Right.
Yeah,
that worked well, Hindenburg. So yeah, they invested all this money. Howard Hughes never delivered. and it sat until the 90s in Long Beach.
Wow.
In a hangar built on Long Beach, and then I guess two companies fought over it. One was Howard Hughes' parent company.
So
after Hughes died,
4 motors on each side.
Yeah, 4 huge motors on each side.
I just think about what the maintenance cycle would be on something like that, though.
I don't want to know. They were how many horsepower each? They were 2,700 horsepower each.
Wow.
I think so. Yeah,
wow.
It was incredible.
It's a beautiful plane though. Like I'm watching a YouTube on silent mode, unmuted, and it's just incredibly pretty.
Oh yeah, it is. Made completely of birch, or mostly of birch, because it wasn't actually spruce. They didn't have the availability for spruce, and then and because of wartime shortages, they couldn't use aluminum. And the aluminum that they were able to use in the plane, had to go to specific parts.
Right.
And so, like, the entire thing, even the skin of it was birch, plywood.
Wow.
The only thing that I believe the ailerons and the rudders were fabric.
Wow.
And so just
looks like they installed all the seats in it even.
Yeah, everything was installed. Everything was
looking
ready to
at
roll.
a picture of the engineer's room, and it's just like wall-to-wall dials and switches. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So I've always been interested in the old flying boats. I'm not any kind of an expert, but I did read a while back. I'll send this to you guys. There was a really cool article in, I want to say Jalopnik, about some guys that flew. They were flying for American or Pan Am, and they got stuck in New Zealand, I think, at the beginning of World War II after the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. And they had to fly all the way across.
You mean the Germans?
Yeah, when the Germans attacked Pearl Harbor.
When the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor, yeah.
They had to fly. So they had to fly up through Malaysia, Indonesia, across to Africa, landed somewhere in the middle of nowhere in Africa, and then eventually flew to Brazil and then back home. So, but the biggest problem they had was they couldn't get decent fuel because they had to have a particular kind of avgas for it.
Interesting.
So, and they were like, had to redline it to get off the water a few times. And
good grief.
Yeah, really cool story. I'll see if I can dig it up for you. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Now, flying boats are incredible. I've seen 3 or 4 of them in my life that were still flying, and they're few and far between. They're incredibly rare. What was the name of the? I forget.
PBY.
What's that? Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
The Catalina.
The one the PBY is a beautiful airplane. I was always interested in the bigger one, which I cannot remember what it was called. It's more the shape of what we just looked at.
Yeah, quite a few of them.
The Japanese built a copy, and I cannot remember what it's called. I can't remember.
What is the it's the Albatross, the Grumman Albatross.
I think that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that's the one in the Expendables.
That's the big one?
Yeah, because that movie is so incredibly accurate.
Those are great movies.
They are. They're so over the top.
It's that's the one. That's the one I was. No, that's actually not the one I was thinking of. I'm thinking of a four-cylinder plane, four-engine plane.
I don't know of any four.
It's not the short. It's something else, but it looks kind of like it. It's got a big kind of upturned nose to it. Man, I'm drawing a complete blank.
And it's a boat plane?
Yeah, it's not in the wiki either.
Huh.
Hang on. I'm poking. Trying to find it here.
Are you talking about... What is that one? Whoa, that's impressive looking. The Sikorsky S-42. Give that one a Google. There's also the Boeing Clipper.
I think the Clipper is what I'm thinking of.
The Boeing Clipper was pretty incredible.
Is that a pretty big one?
Yeah. It's bigger than it's like halfway between the Goose and the Sikorsky.
Yeah.
So yeah, impressive aircraft.
Because the Clipper was the one that was actually an airliner, right?
Was it? I don't know.
I think it was used as an airliner. That's the one I'm thinking of. That was it.
Made by Boeing. 12 of them were built.
Yeah, I think they actually use those as their. Yeah, Pan Am actually used one. So that's actually what I'm thinking of in that story. So it was one of those.
That's crazy. I want to land on.
But it's got like, if you look at it, it's got like 3-4 levels of decks on it. It's huge. It's deep.
Yeah, it is a massive aircraft. Yeah, it looks like maybe three decks.
At least, yeah, it's about at least three decks. I think maybe a half deck in between.
So I want to know, if you're flying a flying boat, right? Do you have to have like a pilot's license and a boating license?
One presumes. I
mean, you don't if you're flying like a seaplane with floats on it. You don't have to. I don't think.
I don't know. That's above my pay grade.
It's just.
How did we get off on this?
It's a weird thought. I don't know. Elon Musk saying he wanted to nuke the moon or nuke something.
Okay, so when we come back next week, we'll have a comparison of Trump and Elon tweets.
Oh, definitely.
And that'll be fun.
It is a cornhole tournament fundraiser. Cut the crap.
The first time I played that intro, Tombstone did not resonate.
It took me a minute to figure out what was going on.
But I think with age, it has resonated.
Yes.
I love it. Love it.
Our next story takes us over to England. As we all know, Meghan Markle, American Meghan Markle, married Prince Harry. The crown's playboy, if you will. Known for his.
Not anymore. Now he's going to quote unquote Google camp on Sicily with all the.
What is Google camp?
The people. You haven't heard about this?
No.
It's like a lower key Davos conference. So the mucky mucks go. They hang out. They pretend they're camping, and they speak to each other about how terrible global warming is. So that was like last month or earlier this month.
I remember hearing about that. Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Harry was there, and he's become one of them.
Well, apparently, Meghan isn't one of the crown, though. Meghan is not embracing the posh requirements of being one of the royal family.
Oh, this sounds interesting.
Oh,
what
yes,
she do?
yes. Well, it's not what she's done this time; it's what she keeps doing. Okay. Their friends have stopped inviting them to dinner parties, because they frown on their personal displays of affection. I guess in these high class situations, couples are not sat next to each other. I didn't know this, by the way. At these high-class dinners, couples are not sat near each other because...
Probably you're seated by peerage.
You're seated by... Yes, by peerage.
I mean, at the local barbecue place, you just sit where you sit.
Right. So, well, this is not the local barbecue place or the local cornhole tournament. This is the Crown, Ben. This is the Crown. And so they are ignoring the name signs and sitting next to each other anyways. And then, getting in trouble for personal displays of affection.
You know, this sounds an awful lot like when we were in the dining common and you'd have people put the silverware down and then like somebody would come up and move it and then everybody at the table would just be pissed off at everybody else.
Wow, I haven't thought about that in a long time.
That's a
blast from the past. Wow, that's incredible. I guess also there was Wimbledon. Is it Wimbledon? Yeah, Wimbledon.
Wimbledon.
When she wanted to watch Serena Williams play, she showed up in jeans. And
were they designer jeans at least?
They are. Well, she was not allowed to sit in the royal box because there is a Uber dress code in the royal box.
Dude, you got to have at least some standards.
Yeah, but have you seen what the Queen's wearing?
I'm hoping
those aren't
Walmart
standards.
Wranglers.
The Queen wears a dress.
Sure, it's like a
Did you
dress
know?
suit
Did you know that
thing.
the Queen, when she goes out and she's wearing a dress, which is always, she has lead sewn into the hem of her skirt so that it can't be blown around by the wind too much.
Wait, they still use actual lead?
I mean, what else would you use? It's heavy.
Zinc, which is basically the same thing.
I don't know. The point is she's got something sewn into the hem. I don't know what it is. I was told.
Well, yeah,
it
but
was
it's not like the Queen wears these big flowing dresses. It's always that skirt suit thing.
But you still don't want it blowing up. That
It's not going to blow up. It can't blow
up. It can.
Well, I don't think Harry cares. I mean, we know his escapades in Las Vegas.
Just stop.
I'm just saying.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think Harry is the same Harry. I think he's been domesticated.
I'm just saying we are taking over England one person at a time.
I think it's time to restore the Stuarts.
We are. So Tombstone
I think the Hanoverian experiment has ended poorly. We need to just call it good and go back to the Stuarts.
You know that vacation you were planning on in England? It ain't happening now, buddy.
Yep.
You just threatened to overthrow the crown.
Not overthrow. I just think someone should ask for their resignation and the restoration of the Stuarts. That's all. I'm not supposing we do this with guns. I'm not inelegant. I'm not a savage.
Yes, you are.
We will do it.
I am, but not when it comes to this. These things have to be finessed.
We will do it with our words.
Well.
Anyways.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
I'm saying, that House Windsor is not actually House Windsor at all. They're from Germany. So
tell me the history of the crown, Tombstone.
I'm fuzzy on some of it. All right, so
So what happened? Why are you attracted to the Stuarts, and why do you hate the Windsors? And why are the Windsors illegitimate?
It's not that they're illegitimate. It's just that there should be a Stuart because the Stuarts were the last most legitimate.
Well, what happened to the Stuarts?
I think they came up short on descendants, and someone that was related by marriage had a better claim. I forget. It's been a little while, but
I mean, look here. We're obviously having issues.
But the Hanoverians, House Windsor has been they have held the crown since 1714, so it's been a long time.
Obviously, the Windsors are an absolute wreck. I mean, you've got Charles.
But Kaiser Wilhelm and Prince Albert were cousins, right?
No.
Yes, that's why. Because
I mean, now I do.
Now you know. But they were all cousins.
But all royalty
back in
was related, so it didn't really matter. I mean, what does it matter?
Anyways,
you've got Prince Charles who married Diana, which was frowned upon by the Queen, and the Queen took care of that. I mean, Diana didn't. Diana didn't work out very well. And
I'm that terrible disappointment.
And then you've got Charles then marries this new woman, and then you've got Prince Andrew there who's in all the who's been named in all of the
palling around with Jeffrey Epstein
with pictures nonetheless. The Windsors aren't doing very well. They may have to abdicate. I'm just saying.
House Markle.
I'm just saying. Yes, the House of Markle. That would be incredible.
All her family are rednecks from Southern California.
It would be the most beautiful thing in the world. America literally taking over. Literally taking over England by storm.
I think we beat that to death.
Yeah. By the way, I just honorable mention in this segment. Speaking of rednecks in California and everything, Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson claims he smokes $40,000 worth of weed every month.
Is that? I mean, I assume that's a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a lot. Let's
either it's a lot or it's a moderate amount of very high quality hash.
Well, I'm just gonna use the Google here. How much does weed cost? Because I do not know my local dealer.
That's an oversight you need to remedy, clearly.
No, it's not.
Because if you punch it into Google, then someone's going to come knock on your door.
So let's just use Colorado for instance here. Colorado. Where's the prices? Come on, give me some prices, man. Maybe you can't get
Dude,
prices.
it varies wildly depending on who your dealer is and what they're selling you.
Wait, hold on. This one thing that I'm looking up out of Google says Mike Tyson has a marijuana farm.
Oh yes.
And smokes $40,000 worth of a month.
Yeah, he sells $500,000 a month to dispensaries.
Hokey smoke.
Literally.
Jeez.
See, I don't even know. A gram costs $20 on the street.
I don't know how far a gram gets you. Is that like one evening or?
I don't know. Tombstone, I don't have a clue.
If you're someone who knows this stuff, please send us an email at
we will keep it anonymous
at the Front Porch Show. Is that your email address?
I think so. Either that or tombstone at thefrontporchshow.com. I know that one
that's
better.
fine too.
Because that's the one I always
works.
use.
Yes. I don't want to know. I thought you wanted to know.
Well, I kind of do want to know. I mean, I'm kind of curious.
So can we say that Mike Tyson has a weed problem? I mean, is that safe to say? I mean, he smokes more in weed than I make in a year. So
that's okay. So here you go for reference.
Which reminds me, we're due for my yearly review and raise.
An ounce. Yes, that's right. It'll go up from 0 to 0. An ounce of weed in the U.S.
Jeez.
Is 3,000, I think. I don't know how this works.
Well,
okay. Here we go.
Well, there's 12. There's 16 ounces a pound.
Here we go. Denver, Colorado, $233 for an ounce. San Francisco, $272. So if you take $40,000 divided by 233, right?
Mm-hmm.
Times it by 16. That would be 2,000 pounds of weed.
So
no, I'm doing this wrong.
I think you messed up your calculations there, bud.
27 pounds of weed.
Sounds right.
Let's just be safe to say it's a lot of weed. And he probably shouldn't be doing that. I mean,
probably not.
Regardless,
it's going to damage your lungs.
I mean, yeah. I think he has a history in weed, though. I mean, and he has a show called Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson.
But
I did not know that.
He does.
Things you learn on the show.
just thought you guys should know that.
Fascinating.
I guess they light a whole bunch and just burn it. It's celebrities in a room full of weed
Is that
smoke.
part of his monthly budget though?
I think so.
Weed budget.
I think so.
So it may not just be him. If he's doing 4 podcasts a month, then I don't know. That's still doesn't really add up.
I still don't think you can. Like, I think personal consumption. I don't think people are burning more than an ounce. Like, I don't know. I don't know how much is in a what they would call a
check out the link. I sent you a link.
Oh, you sent a link. Thank you.
Slightly describes what you're talking about with having no knowledge of what we're still talking about. 1 gram, often called a dime bag. This is so confusing, guys. As someone who literally has no experience in this realm, that's just crazy. Okay, so reading this here, why are we on weedmaps.com? I didn't say it was reputable. I just said it explains it.
Looks reputable enough to me.
An ounce weighs 28 grams. Okay, so do they have, like, what are people using? Like, how much are people using?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I'm trying to figure this out here.
It appears to be like a gram, I would assume, makes up
Okay.
like several small uses.
Okay, a gram is the perfect amount for a user to smoke out of a bong or a joint. Okay, there you go. Okay. So yeah.
And I would assume you're not doing that all at once unless you're a little ready to get
completely baked. Like Mike Tyson. So if a gram is one use and 28 grams is a pound, that's a lot, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's more than 27 pounds of weed.
This is probably what's keeping him alive.
Mike Tyson. Mike, you got to see someone, man.
So I do have a story about, because every time you guys say that they're burning it, I keep thinking that it's just all going up in smoke. So when we were in, I believe it was Tennessee, traveling one time, we stopped in this little town and for a couple of days, and we kept seeing like these helicopters and all this stuff flying over top of this little podunk town. And
I wonder what they found.
So we asked somebody. Apparently, they had been growing weed in with the corn, right?
I mean, is there another way to grow? Oh,
and so
I mean,
so they've been growing it in with this corn, right? So they were harvesting the fields. The police were harvesting the fields, throwing them into the back of 18-wheelers, right?
Yeah.
And somebody stole one of the 18-wheelers.
Yep. Oh, nice. Oh man.
Nicely done.
So did I tell you guys about the cornfields when I was working on the farm in Vermont? I don't remember if I told this on the show.
No, I got nothing.
I don't think I've heard this.
So we had these farms down in some bottom properties, beautiful loamy soil, perfect for corn. We'd have like 12, 15-foot corn down there, right? We were harvesting it for another farm. Well, the neighbor across the road would go in when the corn was young and go plant his weed. And he would basically just stick it in there in 5-gallon buckets, and would grow them in the 5-gallon buckets with a little bit better soil and fertilizer and everything, and just let them grow. Well, it's all fun and games until he forgets to harvest it.
That's a side effect of smoking a lot of weed,
probably. And so we would be down there harvesting the corn with ginormous harvesters and trucks and everything, and we would be like silage harvesting, so it's green chopping.
Right.
And so we'd be cruising through there, and all of a sudden, you'd hear it would be a 5-gallon bucket getting sucked up through the chopper.
Ooh.
And there goes the guy's weed. And the guy would freak out, and so he'd be parked up at the top of the hill, right, staring down over this like 300 acres of fields. And every time we'd hit a bucket, you'd see the truck slam into reverse, he'd go flying down the road, and then just turn around, come back. And then park again, and he was mad every time it got run over. And
so was he just not all there?
I don't know. He was in his 60s or 70s, and I don't know. Yeah, it was,
dang kids again.
Right. It's just wild. Anyways, I still don't know what Meghan Markle and Mike Tyson have in common, but they're both from California,
America.
Boom.
Now, some of you might think I've been busy writing my memoirs. I'm not concerned about my memoirs. I'm concerned about my resume. Here's what I've got so far. Career objective, to stay president. But being realistic, I would consider an executive position with another country. Of course, I'd prefer to stay within the G8. I've been getting a lot of tips on how to write it, mostly from my staff. They really seem to be up on this stuff. They tell me I have to use the active voice with a resume. You know, things like commanded U.S. Armed Forces, ordered airstrikes, served 3 terms as president. Everybody embellishes a little. Designed, built, and painted bridge to 21st century. Supervised vice president's invention of the internet.
Well, gentlemen, sometimes a news story comes across the desk that is just so bizarre and so far-fetched that you actually have to wonder if it's from the Babylon Bee or if it's from The Onion. But you don't expect the reliability to come out from all of the news sources in the nation. I really just can't mince words here. I'm referring to Clinton. I guess Epstein. Guys, I'm.
Should I roll this out for you?
It can't get worse.
if you haven't seen all the weirdness coming across the wire for the last forever, basically since 2015. Jeffrey Epstein, among other things, apparently had a painting of Bill Clinton in a blue dress lounging on some sort of furniture, and he had this painting in a private part of his house.
I believe that's called a settee.
Yeah, so he had that. But and
terrifying.
it was painted by an artist in New York, and it's I think it's supposed to be a gag painting. But it's still really
it makes me gag.
Let's go with that. Yeah.
I mean, he didn't have it painted; he bought it.
This is in Epstein's mansion. Oh, so he just bought it. So it wasn't.
Yeah,
like,
the person who made the painting has done a few other satirical paintings of George W. Bush and some other people. So
I think it's just a riot.
It's still freaky as all get out. Like it looks very strange. It looks slightly demented. Honestly,
did Epstein know that it was satirical when he bought it?
That is the question. That is the actual question.
It's terrifying that would ever be in anybody's house.
Yes.
Well, remember,
especially where it's at.
Yeah.
Like it was. I was thinking, okay, this dude's just a piece of trash. Like it's totally terrifying. Everything about him is terrifying. And then this happened, and they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, it's Bill Clinton." And you're like, "What? Yes. What is wrong with these people? Come on! Like, what are they going to find next?"
It turns out the Clinton and Epstein's have a connection that that goes deeper than just giving them a couple plane rides. It's just.
This whole thing is just so sordid.
The thing is so bizarre.
I need to give us a really quick whiplash so we can go back to this sort of topic. We forgot to consult John Bolton's mustache on the Greenland topic.
Ah, yes.
Tombstone. For strategic reasons, I can't speak of this, but if it involves war, we should do it.
I mean, if we went to war with Denmark, what do you think it would take? Like an afternoon tops to wrap it all up?
Yeah, I would. I
feel like John Bolton would really need something a little more savory in the War Department than just an afternoon snack.
I think we would just have to bring the heat. But
okay.
Anyways, it's Greenland and it's icy.
All right, so you wanted to talk about a Saturn V rocket, which is way more interesting than a freaky painting in Jeffrey.
I don't.
Right over the top of that again.
I don't want to talk. So, just real quick, Epstein's island was raided this week, Monday morning or Tuesday morning.
Better late than never.
Which gave them obviously adequate time to delete everything and remove all the
adequate time.
Oh, gosh,
right?
To cover up evidence from his.
Oh my gosh,
which doesn't matter because he's gone.
Okay, since we're there, guys, do you think he killed himself or do you think somebody did him in?
Ooh.
I mean, we can't dance around this topic. We have to at least discuss it.
I mean, come on. There's too many things went wrong at the moment that this happened, and. I mean, come on.
So I think here's what I think.
Come on.
If he was not killed, someone gave him the materials and the time to do himself in.
I think that.
But I give it about a 50-50.
I think he was killed or he had basically no alternative because of what he was threatened with.
Yes, it could be he was told to do this or else.
I think you had like all of this evidence was going to come out right after he died.
Yeah.
So you have like all these people who magically for some reason gave this guy who's never dealt with money all of this money.
Oh yeah, it's shady.
And all of a sudden he dies right before they're going to bring all this evidence and all these
people have said he was an intelligence asset. The question is for which government?
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Look, he ticked off the Windsors. Just saying, they may have had a hand in that.
Good point. Maybe they're not as impotent as we think.
He ticked off the Clintons.
They could be staging an SAS squad to take me out right now in my sunroom, even as we speak.
He probably had dirt on the Clintons, and we all know the list the Clintons have.
Yes,
I think that list is actually mostly horsepucky, but
it may be some of it though. Some of it's way too coincidental, man.
Vince Foster alone is really suspicious.
When you end up having like the entire investigative team of a police department all die, it's weird. That was investigating a Clinton case.
I think so. I actually did a semi-deep dive on that list at one point, and the thing is, a lot of the stuff on that list, you realize by the time it gets to you, that list has been around literally for like 15 years or 20 years.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
so
it's been
digested and redigested. I've only ever seen one actual fact check on it, and the fact check was able to clear some of it up, but not all of it. So I don't know.
But anyway,
facts.
I think the disturbing thing, with the Epstein.
Is that just the motto of the show?
Yes.
I need no facts. I need only my opinions because I'm a millennial. So get away from me with your facts.
Bring me my avocado toast. Leave me alone.
Toast. So
stay on target.
I think with Epstein, there's a big chance he did himself in. And if
I really do think it's 50-50, but the thing is, everything is so suspicious that the fact that it's suspicious is suspicious.
To the point,
what are you giggling
to the
about?
point
What did I say?
Osland made. No. Like what you said was fine. To the point Osland made, though, he may have been given the goods to take care of it himself and said, "We'll give you an hour."
Right. But everything about it is suspicious. Like he should never have been left alone that long.
Right.
But it also sounds like the jail had serious staffing issues, which maybe that's why they sent him there in the first place. I don't know. There's a lot. Which
lends ourselves to the question.
So I guess what I'm saying is this is one guy, if you want to do it right, you're going to be really, really careful that everything gets done right, and he's not going to off himself and nobody's going to be able to get to him.
Exactly.
If you act like you really don't care, then that's just as suspicious as you doing it yourself. Does that, you know what I'm saying? Like the lack of due care taken for the most high-profile prisoner in the entire U.S. prison system.
Yeah, it's like he should have been under 24-hour watched guard. Someone staring at his soul the entire time.
Ooh, I like that.
I thought it was interesting this week. The FBI came out with new standards, by the way, on defining domestic terrorists, and one of them included subscribing to conspiracy theories.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
We're all in deep trouble.
Which means we're all in deep trouble. So if you distrust the government in any way, shape, or form, and if you think that the government may have had a hand...
Can you send me a link to that? Because I need to read that.
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to try to find that.
Yeah, this doesn't sound like it's going to end well. This Yeah,
this is August 1 of this month, of this year, excuse me. FBI document warns conspiracy theories are the new domestic terrorism threat.
What?
Yeah, kid you not. So, if you think that the government may have had a hand in Epstein's death, if you leave a possibility open for that, you could be considered a domestic terrorist.
Oh, you know what? You know why this came out? I know exactly why. Because of September 20th, they need something to prosecute all the crazies that are going to be going to Area 51.
That's a possibility. That's a possibility. I of course would like to go for journalistic reasons, not for curiosity's sake. Journalistic reasons. That's the only thing. And plus, I've never been there. It'd be cool.
Yeah.
The document specifically mentions QAnon, which believes in the deep state conspiracy theory against the president. Also believes in Pizzagate.
Pizzagate?
Yeah, Pizzagate. You're not... Okay.
I'm not familiar with that at all.
Next week.
No. Next week. We are not getting into that on this show.
No. What I'm saying is next week, I'm going to reach out to Andrew and see if he will call in and give us like an hour of conspiracy theories. And
what now could possibly go wrong?
I just want to make sure you guys know, Andrew doesn't necessarily subscribe to the conspiracy theories, but he knows them and he researches
He's incredibly
them.
I think I would say he's incredibly literate in the twists and turns of various conspiracy theories.
Well versed in the art of conspiracy theories.
Educated.
And so I'm going to reach out to him today and see if he'll join us next week.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
He's able to come back out of the rabbit hole.
Yes. He occasionally comes out. We see him and we see texts from him every once in a while. And they're normally gold. So I'll reach out to him on that just to give you a rundown of all these different theories. But yeah, no, I think this comes back to the whole red flag thing. All of a sudden you're labeled a domestic terrorist. All of a sudden you can be red flagged. And
it seems like they don't have a lot of like this could be a very loose interpretation according to whoever wants to decide what this is, and that's where it comes in. Is there's not like there's no boundaries. It's kind of like it could sway way to the left or way to the right, and you could grab people from everywhere.
Right, exactly. All depends on who's in office, who's the prosecutor, and who wants to see you go down.
Right.
It's a very disturbing trend and reminds me of Minority Report with Tom Cruise.
Yes.
The precog crime.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Super weird, guys. Super weird.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Anyways, we will be right back after this break.
They cut my beard and forced me to eat it.
Could be a crackhead that got hold to the wrong stuff.
It could very well be, but we're not sure. Sounds like the president of Brazil is getting into some stuff, though.
What's going on with him?
Well, he's suggesting a new method of saving the world.
I know that he's a strange dude, but this is still strange.
Is this stranger than what you expected?
Yes.
Slightly.
Yes.
The president of Brazil is suggesting that the people eat less so that they can poop every other day. Now,
I mean, they've compared this guy to Trump. I'm not sure this guy has a full pack of crackers.
Now, the Brazilian president doesn't exactly understand how the body works. The body doesn't work even close to that way.
I mean, the article is way nicer than I would be.
Right.
It offers an actual scientific explanation where I would just be like.
So this is Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro.
Yeah.
He thinks we can save the world by that.
No, this honestly sounds like the Green New Deal stuff.
It really does.
Where it's just like, you know what? Let's implement this with all animals all over the world.
I'm going to follow the original. Fine. Hang on. I want to follow the original article here.
Yes, if we can convince all the animals to poop every other day.
Right.
The agent's French press says, poop less for a cleaner planet, says Brazil's president.
Because
I need some context here.
The big question is, how are we going to get the fish to do this?
Oh, that's a good point. They don't listen very well. Let's be honest. Of course, they had to label him as the far right leader. Offered his idea in response to a journalist's question whether or not it's possible to simultaneously spur economic growth, feed the world's hungry, and preserve the environment. He says it's enough to eat less, and I'm quoting him here. It's enough to eat less. You talk about the environment. You talk about environmental pollution. It's enough to poop every other day. That would be better for the whole world. I got nothing. Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. It's so ridiculous. I'm not even sure what to say.
I mean, you have if you do research on eating habits and stuff, it is actually good to fast for like 24 hours every once in a while. But
right,
I think he's couple fries short of a happy meal.
There's no helpful context in this whatsoever.
Well, I mean, that was the context. He was asked. He was asked a question and he gave an answer. He just said, "Don't poop."
Is he planning on running like on the left side of American politics?
No, he's very right wing. That's the thing. He's like the Brazilian equivalent of Trump.
But he may fit in really well.
I mean, it kind of goes back to the horseshoe theory. Like I said, I think he doesn't have a full pack of crackers personally, but
this is just so bizarre of a thing.
Aaron, why do you send me these things?
Because it's amazing. So I want to bounce over to another story about rockets. Saturn V rockets are for sale.
Dude,
or not for sale, they're for free.
We will replace you.
NASA is giving away, as long as you pay shipping, a Saturn V rocket. That's right. You heard
me. Probably bound for a museum. If I still had my Mitsubishi, I could strap the Mitsubishi to it, send it into space, just like
I was going to say.
did.
You could tow it behind your Mitsubishi and save the delivery charge.
Don't think so.
No,
don't think so.
Saturn.
All right.
This is the I take that back. It's a Saturn I rocket, not a Saturn V.
Oh,
I'm an idiot.
Well,
I'm done. I don't want it. I don't want it now.
It would probably still take you a fifth of the way to the moon, though.
Well, Saturn I rocket only puts you in orbit. It doesn't actually put you.
I mean, that's still a really long way from home.
I know, but it's the fuel cost, honestly, that I'm concerned about, guys.
Oh my gosh.
Have you ever? We may have talked about this before. Have you ever seen The Astronaut Farmer?
Yeah. Oh, I love the movie. Absolutely love the movie. It's terribly inaccurate from a science standpoint, but incredibly beautiful.
It's a fun movie.
I love the concept behind it of the guy just saying screw it to everyone and going.
My favorite part was when the ATF showed up at his house because he bought a bunch of fertilizer.
Well, yeah,
happens.
It happens. That's right. Just normal things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun movie.
So
I'm just saying this could be your.
So
you're in.
So you just got to figure out how to transport 953,898 pounds.
Yeah, that's it.
Plus
much?
Almost 1 million pounds.
Yeah,
just shy of 1 million.
Is it the whole booster?
Oh, it's everything.
If it's the whole rocket,
it's the everything.
Oh
it's
my
everything.
Gosh.
It's absolutely everything.
I could pull that with the Mitsubishi, no sweat.
So it's it's in Huntsville, Alabama.
Of course.
Rocket City.
I feel like it might be a little bit too big. Like you couldn't just tow that over the mountain. It's too big.
I think you'd have to disassemble it. I think you'd have to pull it apart into multiple parts.
Right.
And then,
I feel like this is like a Craigslist ad for somebody in Alabama. And it's in the middle of their backyard in a trailer park.
Yes.
Look,
come on and get it, guys.
It's on cribbing like they put mobile homes on. It's on stacked. It's on cross-stacked railroad ties.
Yes. I asked Alyssa, and I was like, if I had $250,000, I told her I'd buy it instantaneously. I think it would be so awesome to be sitting here in the middle of the Midwest, and you come up over the hill and you just see the top of it, and it slowly starts to appear, and all of a sudden, there's a Saturn I rocket.
It's your own personal phallic yard ornament.
Thank you, Tombstone. Thank you for that.
Yes.
That's not where I was going with it.
You're the one that. Never mind. Something about your syntax suggested that to me. Anyways, moving right along.
I'm sorry.
So if you buy this, do you keep it upright or do you put it on its side?
I would put it upright.
You'd have to put it upright, otherwise it's no good as a semi-phallic yard ornament.
So how high is this thing? Because if it's high enough, you got to put lights on top of it, right? So that way airplanes can run into it.
That would be amazing. Yes. So it would be lit up. It would be so beautiful. It's so amazing. Oh, the lights just made it, guys.
See, the thing is, it would fit right in. The Midwest is full of these little weird things sitting in people's front yards.
I mean, it'd
be perfect.
We've got off at Air Force Base, and we've got the Strategic Air Command museum, which has like B-52s
I can just
and
see those. I can just see the guys from Omaha flying over your yard and being like, "What the freak is this guy doing?"
It's a Saturn I. Look at that. $250,000.
Your own personal, if you strap a McNuke to it, you could have your own personal sovereign nation. You'd be good to go.
Right, because those are so easily obtainable. I want to thank the ATF for listening to the show today. Tombstone.
I take it back. I was way off on my estimates here. I'm sorry. The empty rocket is 99,796 pounds.
Oh, that's nothing. That's actually easily so trucks can haul if you got a double tower like set up properly. I mean, you can easily tow 200,000 pounds.
Can you imagine the amount of power lines that they're going to have to move to get this thing from Alabama?
I don't know, how tall is it?
I don't know. Let's see.
Sitting on its side.
Like, I mean, can you put it like on a low boy and haul it?
Looks like 21 feet.
Oh, that's a problem. Power lines, I think, are 18 feet. That's a minor problem. Minor problem. You could airlift it.
Oh, that's only the first stage of the rocket.
Yeah, but the first stage is bigger than the rest, aren't they?
I guess so. I don't know.
I mean, what's the diameter of it? I mean, that's.
It looks like it is. Wait, I just lost it.
Because that matters. Because you know some of our listeners are going to look into getting this thing.
All right, it looks like the stage 3 is about 29 foot.
Across or high? I'm getting maximum diameter is 20 feet. Oh, no. Never mind.
That doesn't sound very big to me.
Like I want to see like dimensions of the Saturn 1. Does that even exist? I
don't know. Punch it into the Google machine.
I'm trying to.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. It looks like it's 360 feet long. No, that's the Saturn V.
Right.
Everyone thinks the Saturn V is amazing.
It is amazing.
It was.
What are you talking about?
It was amazing. The Saturn 1. Oh, that's the Saturn V. It's 35 feet across. Saturn 1. The original Saturn 1 design was 257 inches across. What is inches to feet?
Well, you got 12 inches.
257. I can't math that. Do I look like an educated man? I'm trying to get a rocket out of Huntsville and bring it up to Nebraska. It's 20.
The question is, where are you getting the money to do this?
It's 21 feet. I guess the fins bring it out to 40 feet. So we're going to have to take off the fins. This is going to be very involved. I don't like it. I can't do it. Not doing it. I'm out. Sorry, guys. There will be no Saturn 1 in the middle of Nebraska. If you're interested in buying it or paying for the shipping.
What about if you built bought a grain silo and stood it up and put fins on it and painted it black and white and put a cone on the top?
I don't think it would be as cool.
It wouldn't be as cool, but it'd be a lot easier and probably cheaper too.
Own a piece of history. Literally never been used. In new condition, Saturn 1 rocket.
Probably have to do a total refit on all the seals and moving parts, though.
See, I'm curious how much this costs the taxpayers to not use.
Zillions.
I mean,
yeah.
It's crazy.
There Ben goes being all conservative and everything.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Aaron, you haven't sent me any pictures of the SAC airplane flying over Omaha recently.
I don't want to talk about that. I took one the other day for you, and I forgot to send it.
Did you get a phone call from somebody at the Air Force and asking you to stop taking pictures of their airplane?
There was a time, Ozzy, that I was sending Tombstone and Jeff photos of the Strategic Air Command airplane that is always flying over Omaha because they are constantly doing touch and goes all day long.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm all about a prepared military. But touch and goes are incredibly expensive because of the fuel cost.
Aaron doesn't care whether the line of survivorship is retained in case of an emergency or not, because Aaron wants to live in Somalia.
There are no strategic individuals on that airplane who need to be on there when it's up.
Ironically, the military actually does tons of touch and goes at the Atlantic City airport.
Yeah.
So we always have large military aircraft that are flying over top of us.
So these are 777s, double-decker aircraft.
Yeah, those huge ones. Yep.
Yeah, the huge ones, the old huge ones, not the new huge ones. And then they've got a couple Lockheed Martins that they're flying too. But big aircraft, 4 engines on them, and I mean, they hit that go around, and they've got black smoke that just comes blowing out. And I've seen raw fuel just pouring out of these things.
They're burning that sweet fuel.
Don't get me wrong; it smells gorgeous, but I'm sitting there watching all my tax dollars just go.
That is the smell of America.
Smell of something. Smell of government waste and freedom. I hear you.
wanted to do at the end, I wanted to do like product liability, as in, if that camera explodes all over that guy, we'd sue the camera company and their insurance company, you see.
How did Yale out-rebound Baylor? You go up and grab the ball off the rim when it comes off, and then you grab it with two hands, and you come down with it, and that's considered a rebound. So they got more of those than we did.
Simple math, guys. Simple math.
There's a T-shirt of a headhunter a guy brought me from Borneo, which was kind of nice of him. He couldn't get me a shrunken head, so I got a T-shirt.
It's a shame. Shrunken heads are hard to find, guys.
I mean, is that a possibility to get somebody that?
I think you'd have a hard time getting it back in through customs. Now, if you wanted to do one at home, it'd probably be fine.
Well,
but you'd have a hard time coming up with that. If you're not a serial killer,
it's fine if you're at home.
That's Tombstone at thefrontporchshow.com for any ATF or FBI looking for Tombstone. I'll make sure to forward him the emails.
I love you guys.
God, nothing. I gave
you got to think about these things logically. I mean, Ben asked a perfectly legitimate question. I was just answering the question.
I gave out your email address numerous times last week, just so you know, in case anything comes across. Just
right.
What
happened last week?
I said some things. Gave out your email address.
Oh, okay. I'll go back and listen to the show, so I know how to answer the emails.
Probably should. Yeah, it happens sometimes. Ozzy, you had this article out of your home state there in
out of
in
a
Jersey.
local paper. Yeah.
Tell us about this situation.
All right, so we have several. I live basically near the ocean. Essentially, we have all these barrier islands. So one of the biggest problems that we have is we have a bunch of boardwalks. And in the Ocean City boardwalk specifically, seagulls have just been a nuisance. And you can't really do anything about them because they're protected birds for whatever reason. Apparently, they're really hard to kill. So I talked with someone who has apparently shot them with a shotgun before, which is illegal to do, by the way. Don't do that because you can get in trouble. And they just bounce back. So they're very resilient birds. So anyway, so the Ocean City Council has approved the spending of more than $60,000 for a guy to walk around with a hawk on his arm up and down the boardwalk for like 3 months.
That's amazing.
So
do we know what kind of hawk it is?
It doesn't say specifically. Apparently, they are feeding the hawks before they go out so that they don't actually massacre the seagulls. Because again, they're a protected species.
So basically, they're just
Seagull Massacre is going to be the name of my punk rock band.
they're just sending them out for sport then.
Well, it's sport for the hawks, but
that's
it's
what I'm
serious
saying.
business for everybody else.
Do hawks hunt for sport? I mean, I guess they do because you do falconry, right?
I mean,
where you feed them before you send them out, and then they get like a rabbit and bring it back.
Right. So I don't know if they're actually. It seems to be more that this guy is literally just walking around with a hawk that's got its eyes covered up.
Oh, so he's not sending the hawk to pull the seagulls out of the sky and spill their guts on the boardwalk in front of little kids.
Well, that's a shame. I'm completely, my hopes and dreams were completely dashed by this story.
So what I'm thinking is that, I mean, essentially for $60,000, I mean, I'm willing to buy, a $2,000 hawk and walk around for 3 months during the summer on a boardwalk.
Right. I mean, plus it's just cool to have.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, this is capitalism 101, man. And if you can sucker them into doing it, let's go for it.
So yeah, I did some research because I was curious on this whole seagull thing. And it appears that seagulls, even though they are a protected species, you can take them out if they are threatening public health and safety.
Which they do just by existing.
Absolutely.
They're a nasty bird.
They are. Beautiful.
Some of them are absolutely gorgeous, but they are just a nasty bird. They're like the crows of the ocean.
That's a great. That should be. That's the title for this episode right there. Crows of the ocean.
Crows of the ocean. Oh man.
But I think they're actually nastier than crows, personally.
They're just relentless. I mean, like literally, and the reason why they're having to do this is because with the tourists and everything, you have people walking around with food in their hands, like covered. You know, you'll have plates that are covered up or whatever, and they will literally just attack people to get it out of their hands.
But the presence of that hawk, though.
Yeah.
Presence of that hawk. Isn't that interesting?
Apparently. So, yeah. So, anyway,
cool.
So if you
cool. So
have a large bird of prey that you can walk around with, head on up here, and you can apparently have a job.
All right. We have. It came to my knowledge that we have actually skipped Florida Man over the last couple weeks. We have abandoned Florida Man, and we have some gems, absolute gems of stories out of Florida this week. First one here, Florida man is arrested after chugging a $7 bottle of wine in a Walmart bathroom. Didn't want to pay. Went in the bathroom.
Needed a fix.
Chugged it. Called it a day. It was good. I guess he stuffed it down his pants and went to the bathroom, drank it, and 55-year-old from Pinellas Park.
How did he get caught?
Ty Kelly. I assume the camera saw him stuffing it down his pants.
There shouldn't be a camera. Oh, yeah. There shouldn't be a camera in the bathroom.
There's no camera. There's no camera in the bathroom.
So we're assuming that the fact that it was stuffed down his pants and there's just this giant bulge is not obvious enough.
Right.
Absence of evidence is not absence of evidence of absence. Just saying.
Well, I mean, he drank the evidence, so it's gone now.
Right.
Good point. Maybe it was empty. Maybe he accidentally put an empty bottle from the rack in his pants.
Oh my gosh, that would be great.
I doubt it.
That's
not happening.
That's disturbing on so many levels. So, but yes, that's not the only story we have from Florida today. Thankfully.
Oh, we have more.
We have more. Ozzy, what was the one? The dirt car something? All
right. So this guy apparently, this Florida man from Crestview.
Where's Crestview? I need to know.
I am looking it up. Continue, Oz.
Anyway, so he got into a tussle or something with his girlfriend. Decided he didn't like what she was saying, so he dumped a bucket load of dirt on her 2010 Cadillac.
Wow.
Crestview is exactly where you think it is.
I'm imagining Panhandle right below Bama.
Literally in the exact middle of the Panhandle.
Boom. Nailed it. That's amazing.
All right, continue.
That's amazing. 20 years old. 20 years old.
Yeah.
So he put a bucket of dirt on the Cadillac?
Yeah, dumped it.
Yes.
Dumped
How
the
much
payloader.
dirt? Oh, with a I gotcha. With a front end loader. Okay.
Yeah, front end loader. Just dumped it right on the roof.
And
did it crush the roof?
No, it did not. But she did have the window open, and apparently she was sitting in the car, I believe. But everybody's fine.
How do you sneak up on someone with a front end loader?
I have no idea.
There's multiple layers to this story, I feel like.
Okay, so if I were there and I were in this spat, which I wouldn't be, of course, I imagine she pulled up, right? And like he had pulled up next to her in the loader, like over her, and was like talking to her from like the cab, and she's like she wouldn't answer a question, and he just was like dumps it on her.
I'm very impressed with the way you reasoned that out, but I think you're absolutely correct.
So I've been in the situation where someone pulls up and you're talking to them, and like I've lifted a bucket of a tractor up over a car before to talk to the person, because then you pull up to the car, swing the door open, and you just talk to them. And yeah, I imagine that's what happened.
And this is a white Cadillac, and that is definitely red dirt.
Oh yeah, that's not getting clean.
Famous in the South.
That is not getting clean.
Yes, it is not coming clean.
That is Bama, Georgia, Florida.
Yep.
South Carolina.
It's like half clay, half dirt, and whatever else. So
nasty stuff. The only thing that'll grow in it is cotton.
Yes.
Rough stuff. We also have another story out of Florida. Thank you, Florida. I'll take a moment of silence for Florida. Thank you, guys. Florida has bequeathed to us another story here. Now, I've got to ask the legitimacy of this website, though, Ozzy, because you sent this one over too. This is the FloridaManTimes.com. Is this a legitimate website?
It appears to be. I mean, they have dates and everything with it. So I as legitimate as that makes it.
Well, I guess that's my question is it yeah, so yeah, it's I found it over on the local Channel 10 News ABC out of Wilton Manors, Florida here. Yeah, so it appears that the 40-year-old man was arrested on Thursday afternoon, 2 days after he robbed a bank in Wilton Manors. Tombstone, where's Wilton Manors? I'm sure you're looking it up.
What's that? Wilton Manors?
Wilton Manors, Florida. Wilton Manors, Florida.
I am the map man.
Yep, you are the map man.
Google keeps suggesting these things to me, which makes me wonder why. It's right above Fort Lauderdale. It's like a suburb of Fort Lauderdale.
Where's Fort Lauderdale?
It's nothing
over
but
on the East Coast.
It's just nothing but houses and canals. That's all it is.
Okay. So Wilton Manors, Brian Martin Roberts of Fort Lauderdale, he was arrested by the Fort Lauderdale Police Department on unrelated charges. But he's expected to make his appearance in federal court in connection with the bank robbery. He robbed the We Financial Credit Union. What an idiot. No mask on in this picture. Surveillance from inside the back showed that Roberts had from inside the bank, typo there, Local 10, showed that Roberts had a black plastic bag covering his head during the robbery. But then when he got outside, he uncovered his head.
Probably because it was hot. Understandable.
Breathe.
Or breathe, yeah. Plastic bag. That's. He could see through eye cutouts in the bag, so he did have eye cutouts.
That's good.
But the fact that Florida man put a bag over his head.
Does he have cutouts for his mouth though? That's the question because I wouldn't mind seeing, but breathing I think is a little more crucial.
It is.
Boy, yeah. I don't know.
It's brilliant. What a way to rob a bank.
Thank you, Florida man. Thank you. Stories we did not get to today. Hong Kong. Tombstone, what do you have on Hong Kong real quick?
They need to be really careful so they don't get the full weight of the Chinese boot on their neck.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like they care.
Who? The Hong Kongers?
Hong Kong. It doesn't look like they care.
I don't know. It seems, honestly, to me so far, it seems like a very polite dispute. It may not stay that way.
Until the tear gas and stuff came out.
I mean, yeah, but nobody's died that I know of. So the one girl did lose an eyeball from a rubber bullet, which is very sad.
That is very sad.
So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
How do you think it's going to end, guys?
I couldn't even guess.
It doesn't look good, but it's hard to tell.
Part of me is like, it's time for the U.S. to be like, okay, we'll take it back.
We never had it.
Well, the UK had
it. The Brits had it.
And we're basically.
But the Brits don't deserve it. We do.
So we'll get it back too. Anyways,
we could just could we do a bulk purchase? Do that in Greenland at the same time?
Greenland? I think the property's too expensive in Hong Kong. I mean, Hong Kong's a gorgeous city.
It is expensive.
It's like
we could buy it. We could buy it for $1 and give them a break on taxes.
Hong Kong's always been funky because it's even though it's part of China, it's always been treated as a. Well, I shouldn't say always been part of China because it belonged until 2000. It belonged to the United Kingdom,
right?
And then after that, it reverted back to China. But China basically let them go. It was
So there was a lot going on back then in 1899.
When Britain first took it over,
they basically leased it. Yeah,
interesting.
They basically leased it for a year.
I see. I didn't know. Well, it wasn't a year; it was 100 years.
Sorry, 100 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a century then.
Yeah, they leased it for a year and then they gave it back. No, just like a Cadillac that has red.
But the UK had all rights to it. They did everything. They governed it. They did everything. And
yeah, they just weren't. But they weren't the permanent owners.
Right. Yeah, and so then you have the Chinese took it back over, and they've slowly started to implement their communism back into play, and it hasn't been exactly great for the people of Hong Kong. And they're not liking
pretty
it.
mad.
It's funny how that goes when when socialism and communism kind of sneak back in, it's not a good thing for the populace.
Yeah.
But, we didn't get to GIFs or GIFs. We all know it's GIFs. Or do we?
No, we do.
We do? Ozzy doesn't think so. We may have to revisit this next week. All right. Anything else we got to cover, guys? I don't know. We've filled up 2 hours. We've done a wonderful job. We didn't talk about water and aluminum cans, but I don't want to actually drink out of those. It sounds weird.
I'll see if I can find one and I'll test it for you.
Do that next week. We'll be back.
All
right. TheFrontPorchShow.com. Check us out on the web, on Twitter, Facebook. You can listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, a lot of other places. We'll catch you guys next week. Later.